Dan and Amy, Election Day polls open.
Yep, game on.
Polls open are here.
Game on, people.
Let the voting, continue since we've had early voting for the last several weeks. But,
knocking it out of the park, too.
For those like Amy and I who reserve Election Day to cast our ballot because we're originalists.
Yes.
It is game on, except in Plainfield. I got a tweet from Rick Seebach in Plainfield. My polling location not opening until 7 a.m. because they got a quote-unquote late start. Lots of angry voters. Yeah, they got work to do. What is this late start? You
got to
overslept?
get there in time. A lot of election judges oversleep. I remember last 2 years ago, the fire department in Chicago had to be called because they had to break a pane of glass to unlock a polling place to get in.
Yeah.
Because somebody lost the key. So if there's any irregularities out there, call us. We're here all morning. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer.
And we've got a tactical team of attorneys and thugs to send to polling places
I'll bring my Swedish thugs,
as the needs arise. Trump in Manchester, New Hampshire yesterday state that he needs, unless he breaks through in Michigan or Pennsylvania. This was kind of central to his closing argument and, frankly, central to his entire campaign if he's going to be victorious.
The corrupt special interests have stolen your jobs and shipped your wealth to other countries. They've betrayed the working class of this country. Tomorrow, the American working class will strike back. It's about time.
I mean, in 15 seconds, that about sums up Trump's messaging over the last 18 months. For more on the messaging.
It's been 511 days.
Well, thanks for
He
counting.
let us know at 1 o'clock this morning.
More on the messaging, the closing arguments, and the implications. We're now pleased to be joined again by our friend Joe Trippi, a Democrat political consultant, as well as a Fox News contributor. Joe, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you guys.
So is this in the bag for Hillary, or do you think we may still see a surprise yet?
Look, the odds against the surprise are pretty big. Just given the that he has to run the table and win all the toss-up states, and then, as you said, either pick off one of the blue states, would have been going blue in recent presidential, something like, or forever, like Michigan. I just don't think it's going to play out that way. But hey, people have underestimated this guy the entire way. I'm not going to start now, but I think it looks pretty good for Hillary Clinton tonight.
Do you think there's any chance that Hillary Clinton could win the Electoral College or the electoral votes and Donald Trump win the popular vote?
No, I think it's much more likely the other way around. If he wins, it's much more. I don't think he can win the popular vote, to be honest with you. So I think that doesn't mean he can't win the presidency. He certainly can't. But I think it's more likely if that kind of a weird dynamic happens, it's much more likely that she's run up a lot more votes in places like California and New York, for example.
Right.
And he's just eking out a win in Florida, eking out a win in Michigan or something like that. So he gets by her on the electoral count, but it's going to be pretty tough for him to win the popular vote. She's got huge leads in some of these very big states.
Let me play out my most fun scenario for you and see if you think this would be fun too.
Dan's political fantasy. Go.
Trump gets exactly 270 votes, 270 electoral votes, and loses the popular vote. Wouldn't that be fun?
Except it goes to the House if there's a tie. Or he has 270.
He has 270. So he wins. He wins. He wins on the number, but loses the popular vote. Do you think that would be a fun reaction from the body politic?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have a fun reaction no matter what happens.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think there's a chance we could go to sleep tonight not knowing who our next president's going to be?
No, I actually think it's going to be pretty early that we'll know. Because so many of the really important critical states are, in the Eastern time zone. So Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire. If for instance, Trump is leading in New Hampshire and Florida, that'll tell us a lot. If he's behind in Pennsylvania and behind in any one of the other three states, it just means it's like you're going to need a miracle in the Midwest, in Michigan, and probably two of them, Michigan and Wisconsin or something, for him to get by that. So I think we'll have an early indication by who's taking leads in any of these in 3 or 4 of those states that close where the polls close pretty early for the rest of the country. Now it's going to be interesting to see how the news media report. When we know that. With all these votes that are already in Florida, for instance, I think 60% of people have already voted. So, I mean, we're going to know pretty early who's got a big lead there or not, and how's that get? How's the rest of the how's the news media hold back? I think we're going to know early.
We're talking to Joe Trippi, Democrat political consultant, author of the book "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," Fox News contributor. So, Joe, what about this? Just playing out fantasy electoral politics, since this is the day to do it. So, if he does hold all the states he needs on the eastern seaboard, including New Hampshire, if it looks like that's trending his way, Florida, Ohio, New Hampshire, not losing anything, then doesn't it come down to Nevada? And so it could be a late night because his 270. If he doesn't pick up a state he's not expected to pick up, like Pennsylvania or Michigan, he gets New Hampshire, he gets that congressional district in Maine, then he needs Nevada to get to 270.
Yeah, that's right, and that's part of the problem because at least out there, the early vote has just been overwhelmingly, bigger than it was for Obama in 2012, and much more Latino. Historic turnout there. So I wouldn't, again, we'd have to wait and see. We're not sure how those people all voted. We can't, I can make an assumption as somebody who's been through this, how they're going to go, and I assume that they'd go with her.
Right. But
we won't know, and we'll be waiting for the West Coast to come in. But he's going to need that kind of, he's going to need something. If you see him in those early states that we're talking about on the East Coast, not getting any big breakthrough. Well, first of all, he's got to be leading in Florida and North Carolina. There's just really no way if one of those goes, it's over for him. So that's what I mean about how early we'll find out what's going on.
What do you think if it's a close race? Electorally, it's 20 electoral votes or something like that. What do you think happens with the Senate in terms of balance of power?
I think it's going to be on a state-by-state thing. I think whoever wins the presidential vote in each state is likely to win the Senate seat that's up or that's on the bubble in that state. So if she wins North Carolina, I think Burr, the GOP senator from North Carolina, could just miss it by a few tenths and lose. And right now, I'd say he's gonna win, but I think he needs Trump to be very, very close for him to be able to do that. The same in New Hampshire with Kelly Ayotte. I think that one again, if Trump wins it, Ayotte I think gets reelected. If he loses the state, I think she may fall. That's likely to play out in Illinois. Obviously, Wisconsin, the same thing, that same pattern. So I think these early states, too, even though some of them, like Pennsylvania is another one.
Yeah, to me, sure. Where
we're going to see, and Florida. So now Florida's the one difference because I think Rubio does have, because of this huge Hispanic turnout, and he breaks into that community better than most Republicans do this year. That may be a different story down there, but I think as the presidency goes, probably so does the Senate.
All right, he is Joe Trippi, Democrat political consultant. You'll see him, I'm sure, on Fox. He's tonight a Fox News Channel contributor and the author of the book "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Joe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. And he joined us on our Turnkey.Pro answer line.